Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 10-team PPR mock draft from the 10th overall spot using ESPN. The roster positions for today's mock are going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, a kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. But before we can get into this mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do go ahead and leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So without further ado, let's get into this 10-team full PPR mock draft from the 10th overall spot over on Fantasy Pros. We'll be drafting up against the ESPN pre-draft ranking. So it's going to be like we're drafting up on ESPN. So the draft here is going to begin with Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, as well as Malik Neighbors. So a very normal start to the draft. A lot of running backs have fallen to us at the 10th overall pick. We have our pick of the litter with Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, as well as Derrick Henry. At wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr., as well as Drizzy Drake London. No quarterbacks or tight ends have came off the board, which is very normal this season. You're typically not going to see the first quarterback come off the board until the end of the second round, sometimes inside of the third round. And Brock Bowers will typically go in a 10-team league, probably somewhere in the middle of the second round. Now, in 10-team leagues, I do strongly believe that the quarterback and tight end position are much more important compared to a 12 or a 14-team league. Why is that? Because the smaller the league size, the less likely it is that a team is going to be dog shit. And what I mean by that is the less likely it is that multiple teams in your league are just not going to be very competitive, because in a 10-team league, it is very easy for teams to have the loaded running back cores. It's very easy for the teams to have the loaded wide receiver rooms. So in that situation, like we're in a 10-team league, having the elite onesies, the elite quarterback, the elite tight end is what can take you over the top. Now, I do want to note that it's very important that this isn't just a steadfast rule, meaning you don't just have to go into your draft thinking, oh, I need the elite quarterback or the elite tight end, otherwise my team is going to reek to high heaven. I'm not forcing the needle here at the 110, the 201, to select a quarterback or a tight end. It's also important to note that if you take the elite quarterback, I'm probably not taking the elite tight end. If you take the elite tight end, I'm probably not going to take the elite quarterback. But here at the 110, there is just too much talent available here for me to feel comfortable at all wanting to take a quarterback or tight end here. So with our first pick, we're going to play things incredibly safe, and we're going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown is basically like wrapping a condom around your wide receiver spot in fantasy football. This guy is a high volume wide receiver in an elite offense who continues to put up solid efficiency numbers and continues to score touchdowns. This guy has been a stud for the last couple of years, and there's really no reason to believe that's going to slow down this season. So at the 1.10, again, a lot of times I'll take Nico Collins over him, or Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, right? But I think it is perfectly acceptable to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at this pick because, again, how safe he is. And he's not just one of those guys where, oh, he's a safe bet, but he's probably not going to win your league. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a safe bet, but also could easily finish as a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy football. I get losing Ben Johnson does hurt a little bit, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is still the guy in this offense. He's going to get force-fed the ball game in and game out. So we're back up on the clock here, obviously, since we are at the turn. And the question I would have here for you, if this was your pick, would be, how confident are you in the running backs later? Do you like the running backs you could potentially be selecting at the 310 or the 401? If the answer to that is no, the clear answer would be to take one of the running backs here and then wait until things wrap around and then maybe get your second running back, or just keep clicking on the wide receiver button, or maybe a elite quarterback or tight end falls your way. Now, for me, a lot of the times here, I would just double click the wide receiver position. I would just draft Nico Collins, bdge, and get right on out of here. But I think this time we're going to go running back. Now, we don't normally draft Derrick Henry because I have Devon Achane ranked ahead of him. So typically, Derrick Henry kind of gets lost in the fray of that, but Devon Achane is dealing with injury. Am I 100% going to run away from Devon Achane because of that? The answer would be fuck no, baby. But due to the injury, I definitely think that is a little bit concerning. Now, everything that I've read regarding this situation is that he is going to be fine. It's a soft tissue, lower body injury. He's unlikely to practice this week, but that doesn't really scare me. But then I'm reading some injury analysis where they're saying, oh, it might be 3 weeks, even though only one doctor has said that. Not as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins, so I'm not going to panic on Devon Achane, but at the same time, if you want to be a little bit safer and get similar upside, you probably would just want to turn the other cheek on him at this point. Again, if you're watching this in late August, it might already be a dead scenario, meaning that all this narrative doesn't mean anything. He's perfectly fine, which would honestly be my assumption. So we're going to go ahead and draft Derrick Henry here, Tractor Cedo. Now, I am kind of worried about Derrick Henry because the age cliff comes for everyone, and normally it hits you like a lock in the sock in the back of a head in a prison yard. But ultimately, Derrick Henry has really been that guy. Derrick Henry has been so phenomenal in fantasy football. Last year, the guy was putting belt to ass game in and game out. So I'm not really worried about Derrick Henry producing. It's just really the age thing that is a little bit of a concern for me because, again, the age cliff is going to hit like prime Mike Tyson, but Derrick Henry is in one of the best running offenses in the NFL. So at the 201, I'm definitely fine taking him there. So we went very safe with our approach early on, and then we're to start taking some risks right about now. After Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Devon Achane, Nico Collins, BTJ, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Drizzy Drake London, Josh Jacobs, and Brock Bowers. Bucky Irving, Trey McBride, Chase Brown, George Kittle, T. Higgins, Tyrod Williams, Tyreek Hill, Lad McConkey, as well as Devontae Adams. Now, if this was my home league and I saw that Josh Allen was available at pick number 30, I am clicking that button every single fucking time because I think that Josh Allen would be a certified steal here. Again, when we are talking about how much the onesie position is much more important in a 10-team league versus a 12-team league. But if I'm being blatantly honest with you, I don't think it's very realistic that Josh Allen would actually fall to this spot in a home league draft, especially if you're playing with your family, right? You're in a league with some of your friends from back home. Not everyone's the sharpest knife in the cupboard. A lot of people see Josh Allen, they draft Josh Allen, right? They might even take him inside of the second round. So I just don't think it's very likely that he would be available here. So if this was my home league, again, I would be smash drafting him, not even thinking twice about it. But because I don't think it's very realistic, I won't end up taking him here. Now, George Kittle did go at the 304, which does suck donkey dick because I would have loved to get him on my team. But we're going to stray away from the strategy because if I was up at the 310 and, for instance, Jaden Daniels was still available, I'm not sure if I would necessarily force that right now, not knowing what's going to happen with Terry McLaurin. I like Jalen Hurts as well, so I'd be fine with him. I'd be fine with Joe Burrow, but I think it's possible that Joe Burrow would potentially come back to us at the 401, so we're just going to play that game and keep on drafting running backs and wide receivers. At wide receivers, JSN's available, Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin at running back, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker III, James Cook, Breece Hall, Omarion Hampton. We have just been spamming the Omarion Hampton button in these mock drafts. I'm going to continue to spam that button until Najee Harris shows up at camp and is actually able to practice. But honestly, even at this point, we are so close to the start of the season. We are knocking on the door at the start of the season that I think Najee Harris is probably going to be irrelevant for the beginning of the season, and that's going to allow Marion Hampton to take a majority of the workload and for him to take over as the clear lead back in LA in a hardball system. We have both of our starting running backs. Our first two running backs are in a hardball system, which you should know, or if you don't know, that is a system that is elite for running backs. The hardballs know how to run the fuck out of the ball, and Derrick Henry, as well as Omarion Hampton, are going to be certified beasts this season. So we're back up on the clock here at the 401. And the question here would be, do we just want to go all in on running back, draft 3 running backs in a row off the jump here, and then start to hammer the wide receiver position? I'm not comfortable drafting a tight end here just because, to me, there isn't that big of a difference between Hawkinson and Njoku. There isn't much of a difference between Laporta and Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, right? And a lot of the times you have to take Hawkinson 3, potentially 4, sometimes 5 fucking rounds earlier. So to me, I would much rather take the discount on a guy that I project to be similar. So I'm going to go ahead and wait on the tight end position. Again, Josh Allen, Lamar is dealing with an injury right now. We'll see how serious that was. There hasn't been a lot of reporting on that, so I don't really want to say anything definitively that there's like clearly a big issue if we just don't know it yet. Jaden Stormy Daniels still available as well. Same with Jalen Hurts, but we're going to play the gambling game. We're going to take a nice gamble out here, a nice bet out here, and hope that Joe Shiesty comes back to us. So we are going to go wide receiver. I see a lot of people panicking on Garrett Wilson. To me, I think the talent is just eventually going to play out. It's eventually going to lead to Garrett Wilson absolutely exploding in fantasy football and having that huge season that we know he has in him. Now, is Justin Fields the most elite quarterback out there? Of course not. Is he the greatest passer in the NFL? Of course not, but he is the clear wide receiver 1 on this team. He is going to get force-fed the ball. So while there definitely is there's burns on my body from Garrett Wilson in the past, the guy has absolutely torched me, but I still deep down believe in him. I got him ranked over JSN, so we will go ahead and draft Garrett Wilson, and then we'll hope that Joe Shiesty comes back to us, but he doesn't. After we take Garrett Wilson, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Stormy Daniels, Jalen Hurts, James Cook, Mike Evans, Kenneth Walker III, JSN, Terry McLaurin, Alvin Kamara, Joe Burrow, Chuba Hubbard, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, Travion Henderson, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, Dave Montgomery. I was honestly hoping that Travion Henderson would come back to us with our next pick, so that's why I didn't end up pulling the trigger on a running back there. I would have been fine with Kenneth Walker. Now, there have been so many talking points about what's going to happen in Seattle, that zone run scheme with like Kubiak. But now there's talks of, hey, Charbonnet is going to play more. To me, I think whoever the lead back is in Seattle is going to absolutely go ballistic. They're going to have a huge season, but Ken Walker and Kenneth Walker stay healthy is a very, very large question mark, because if he can't, then Charbonnet will take over. Maybe Charbonnet eats more into his touches this year. I don't hate Kenneth Walker. I am just not fully banging the drum for him, even though I can clearly note that there is a way that he goes absolutely bonkers this season. Looking at the board right now, we're probably going to go wide receiver and running back in this range. Typically, we just draft Ted McMillan. He is dealing with a minor hamstring injury. He did not practice on the 18th. Again, not something to crazy worry about, not something to shit your pants about, but something to note. So for me, I think we're going to go wide receiver and RB at this turn. For me, it would be between DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Courtland Sutton. Now, I love all 3 of these guys. DJ Moore, I love just because I've always been a fan of DJ Moore back in Carolina, now in Chicago, but I do have the other 2 ranked ahead of him. DJ Moore has not really been getting that crazy Sukulamink, the Gawk 9000 that Roma Dunze is receiving, but DJ Moore, there's also been reports of how he's getting touches out of the backfield. They're handing him the ball in the red zone, and that also can score you a bunch of fantasy points. If they're taking DeAndre Swift out and they're letting DJ Moore cook inside of the red zone, then DJ Moore could run in 5, 6, 7 touchdowns, right? If the Bears offense really does puff out its chest and go beast mode this year. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. But to me, I rather prefer Metcalf or Courtland Sutton. I think the safest bet is probably Sutton. The highest risk out of these 3 is DJ Moore, with DK Metcalf kind of sitting in the middle like his name was Malcolm. I believe we took Metcalf in our last mock drafts. This time we'll go ahead and draft Mr. Courtland Sutton. But again, I have them all very, very close. If you wanted to draft both Metcalf as well as Sutton, or you wanted to get 2 of these wide receivers at this turn, I would also be fine with that. But I know damn well, based upon how fantasy football drafts just go, after we make this pick, by the time things swing all the way back around and it's our pick at the 7.10, I already know the running backs are going to be chopped by my next pick. I know I'm not going to love the running backs as much, so I'll go ahead and select my 3rd RB. Now, the question here would kind of be, how safe or how risky do you want to go? I'm going to have to start to move RJ Harvey up my rankings, because he did look good out of the videos that I've seen of him. And J.K. Dobbins, you already know that motherfucker is going to get hurt lacing up the cleats before the game. He's going to stub his big toe and be out for the season. I like J.K. Dobbins, and I'm still drafting him at ADP, but eventually I think R.J. Harvey will take over, and I think he deserves to take over in Denver. But there's also maybe J.K. Dobbins just plays the whole season out. He somehow stays healthy by the grace of the fantasy gods, and R.J. Harvey doesn't do diddly squat. Isaiah Pacheco would be a much safer bet. I think Isaiah Pacheco should be going significantly higher in fantasy drafts than he does. To me, I understand that the Chiefs, when you think of the Chiefs, you think of Mahomes just dialing in, throwing piss missiles to Rashee Rice, Professor Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Mr. Swift himself, but this is a team that has been quietly becoming more run-heavy, that wants to hinge on the defense. Pacheco was a top 5 running back in expected points per game for the first 2 games last season when he was healthy. So Pacheco now being fully healthy on the Chiefs, I like that spot as well. But at the same time, do I like it more than the wide receivers? Because while I want to go with the running back, I think I'd much rather have in my lineup every week Metcalf over Pacheco when I could be starting 4 wide receivers weekly, and we already have a solid running back core. So even though we did just talk about how I kind of wanted to get my running back before things came back, I'm going to disagree with myself because I just feel like the value on Metcalf is too good here to avoid to draft either RJ Harvey or to draft Pacheco. Both of them do not fall back to us. Before we go ahead and make our next pick, though, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, you'll get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash, as well as getting my draft guide for free sent to you the very next day as long as you deposit $10 and play through those funds. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's the best ball platform in the world. You're like, Nick, what is best ball? Best ball is the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup at the end of every single week. Their biggest tournament is going to be Best Ball Mania, $25 to enter, $2 million to first place, $15 million in total prizes, $1 million to second place. If you are new to Best Ball, you might want to start off by doing the Puppy, which is going to be a $5 entry tournament, $100,000 to first place. Make sure you guys check it out over on there. I love drafting on Underdog. Come draft with me. Promo code Notorious. After Metcalf, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, RJ Harvey, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyrell Tracy, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, Joe Mixon, Quinshon Judkins, Sam Laporta, Devontae Smith, Pat Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, J.K. Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson. At what point are you guys comfortable taking Joe Mixon? Because there have just been no reports that give me confidence that he's playing week 1. I've seen reports, again, these might just be straight up fugaz, where they're talking about how maybe he won't play a single game this season. It seems very, very cloudy, like there's a chance of meatballs, and that is very much concerning me. I am very, very nervous about Joe Mixon. Now, I've been a Joe Mixon truther for a very long time. I've been telling people to draft Joe Mixon when people left him for dead. When everyone last year, oh my God, I can't draft him in Houston. The offensive line sucks dick. I can't do it. And then obviously he has a great start to the year. He gets hurt. It is what it is. But Mixon was very good for the start of the season, and I think Mixon could have been good this year, but now he's hurt. He's another year older. He's an unk. I don't know. It just seems kind of gross. Now, we could go quarterback here, and that's probably what I would personally end up doing because we do not have a quarterback. We can get our quarterback and then take another running back or wide receiver with this pick. So we're going to go ahead and get Bo Nix. Now, personally, Baker, Bo Nix, kind of a toss-up, right? I think that you could make one argument for one over the other, but we already have Courtland Sutton, so we're going to stack them together. Now, do I think stacking is, life or death in fantasy? In redraft, I don't think so. Like, if you don't want to stack, go right ahead. If you want to stack, I like that too, right? It's kind of fine with me. It's not something that I necessarily fall in love with, but if I can do it, and it falls into my lap, right? I'm not reaching for Bo Nix because I have Courtland Sutton. I'm not reaching for Jared Goff because I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not reaching for Aaron Rodgers like George did in the 3rd round of our home league draft vlog. It's going to be linked in the video description. Make sure you guys watch that. That was a very funny video. So I'm going to go with Bo Nix. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't the biggest believer in Bo Nix going into last season. I don't really think very many people were. Maybe his family was. A lot of people were shitting down the guy's throat, and he ends up dominating. He ends up having a huge season. It looks great, especially down the stretch of the season, just like Courtland Sutton. So I think Bo Nix with Sean Payton, it's going to be fireworks. 'cause baby, you're a firework in Denver. So now we're back up on the clock here. The running backs are looking a bit gruesome based upon where we are at in the draft. So I probably would just stiff arm the running back position and go wide receiver one more time and then just go hammer mode, like in, you ever played like the old school Mario games where you pick up the hammer and he just fucking smashes it repeatedly? That's the hammer mode we are going to go with wide receivers, with running backs after this. So we're going to go wide receiver first. If Ted McMillan was here, I'm going to take him. I'm going to laugh straight to the bank. Ha, 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 ha. So fucking funny. So easy. Light work. Legalized bank robbery. Shout out to Floyd Money Mayweather, who cannot read. I don't think Calvin Ridley would be available here in a lot of leagues. I think people have sharpened up on him. Seems like no one's really talking about George Pickens, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe I'm wrong, and everyone's talking about George Pickens. I don't really watch a lot of fantasy content anymore because I'm not trying to just steal someone's opinion. But I love George Pickens, man. George Pickens has always had the ability. He's kind of just been held down by the quarterback. Now, normally, again, if Ridley or Ted McMillan were there, I would take them. But I love George Pickens this season. I think with CeeDee Lamb there, with Dak Prescott, it's going to fully unlock his ability to be great. I think he is finally going to have that season that we've always been waiting for out of George Pickens. And he also has some pretty big upside week in and week out. He is always going to be the kind of guy that, you know, going into great matchups, there's a chance that George Pickens drops a 30 bomb on your opponent and is the reason why you win your week. Scores 25 points, gets that tactical nuke. After George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler. Now, what is going to happen with B-Rob? Can you draft Brian Robinson? Can you not draft Brian Robinson? Right now, to me, he's just a stay away. It's not really, I think he could easily be on the Commanders for this whole season. I think he could just as easily get traded. To me, it just seems like a situation you want to steer clear away from. I was previously on him. Pause, because I thought, hey, I want the running back one in the Commanders because this is a team that's going to be able to move the ball down the field at will. They're going to be able to score a lot of real-life points, which is, in result, going to score a lot of fantasy points. You get in the red zone, you hand the rock off to B-Rob. He's going to bust one into the end zone. But now, with all this uncertainty, it kind of just feels like you want to stiff arm away from him. So, Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler, Jaylen Waddle away, Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jameson Williams, Brock Purdy, Cam, I'm a scat man, Roman Dunze, Ted McMillan, Travis Hunter, Chris Godwin, Jacoby Myers, Travis Etienne, Chris Olave, as well as Matthew Golden Scar. So we're going to take at least one running back here because we only have two at this point. For me, Jordan, the numbers Mason, what do they mean, is an easy pick. I've been taking him a ton in these drafts. Now, technically, there's a lot of tight ends available here, right? So many tight ends are available. None of the tight ends have been going. How realistic is it, though, that you would get one of these guys in this range? I think it is kind of realistic that you might be able to get Andrews, or you might be able to get Evan Ingram. So I'm just going to take Mark Andrews because I think it is actually kind of realistic that you may be able to get him here. Whereas, like, there's no way Hawkinson, Kelsey are falling this far. Now, if you want to say, Nick, Mark Andrews is never going to fall this far in my home league, that's an impossibility. Then what you're going to do is you're going to say, instead of Mark Andrews, I picked Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, Olsen Loveland, and I will live with that. So we're going to take Mark Andrews here. I know he was ranked a little bit lower in my opinion, but I feel good about that. And then we're going to go ahead and get Jordan Mason, the 1B to Aaron Jones's 1A. I am not going to lie to you. Have I been like this Jordan Mason stan off Jump Street, right, coming out of college? The answer to that would be a very resounding no, but he did look good last year in San Fran with Kyle Shanahan when he was the guy without Christian McCaffrey. So I will give Jordan Mason the chance to potentially be the goal line guy in Minnesota. I think the Vikings are going to be a great offense yet again. So I feel good taking Jordan Mason late in drafts. If something was to happen, Aaron Jones, he's getting another year older. He's an unk. If something happened to him, you may have found a potential gold mine in Jordan Mason. And even if he doesn't get hurt, then Jordan Mason's kind of just like a meh flex you could play every week, or an RB2 if you're in a shitty situation. After Jordan Mason and Mark Andrews, Michael Pittman, Cooper Kupp, Tajay Spears, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison-Ray, Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby, Jacory, Krosky, Marquette, the new potential RB1 over there in Washington, JCM, Chad White, Khalil Shakira, Egbuka, who's just going to keep moving on up drafts. You're not going to be able to get him in the 11th round anymore. I'm going to have to update my rankings that are available on Patreon. Link down below in the video description for $12.50. I update them all the time. I think I'm going to have to keep moving Egbuka up. He might even crack the top 30 wide receivers because the longer Chris Godwin is going to potentially be out for, Jalen McMillan gets whacked out, it seems like it's Egbuka season over there in Tampa Bay. But I've been telling you guys this for weeks. So if you already had your draft, hopefully you already snagged them. Jawan Jennings, Zach Charbonnet, TJ Hawkinson, Fat Debo, Ricky Pearsall, Keon Coleman, and Jaden Riley Reed. I've seen a lot of Keon Coleman steam on Twitter, people hyping him up, people hitting him with the Gawk Gawk 9000 special. Look, I can do it in the 8th round. I can take a pick on him. I can pick him. But do I really feel that confident in it? That would be a resounding fuck no, baby. We're back up on the clock here. We need to keep clicking on the running back button. We're not going to handcuff Najee Harris with a guy that has potentially just one eye usable. I'm going to go ahead and draft Braylon Allen. A lot of steam for him at training camp. Braylon Allen's going to get more usage. I think Breece Hall is going to still be getting all the pass catching work. So that's great for him. Even if they're, taking touches, they're taking, chips off the metaphorical table, the poker table of Breece Hall and passing them to Braylon Allen, I think Breece Hall is still going to be getting a bunch of the checks down, so he'll still be super useful. But Braylon Allen, if something was to happen to Breece Hall, then I think Braylon Allen could really be one of those league winner type of guys. And that's what you're looking for late in your draft. Next up, we're going to go Jaden Bonnie Blue. No longer using a walking boot, but not participating in practice on 8/15. This is just something to note. He's trending towards playing up against the Falcons in preseason on Friday, so just see what happens. If he doesn't play, then obviously that's to be very worrisome. His bust rating is high. That's a crazy way to say it. He's going to bust at a high rate. Shout out to Manuel Ferreira. We're going to go ahead and go with Jaden Bonnie Blue here. Just because I think if you could correctly pick the Dallas Cowboys running back, it's going to pay off. It is going to pay off, especially at ADP. Just don't draft Javonte Williams in round 8 like a dumb bastard. After Jaden Blue, Travis Kelce, David Njoku, Evan Ingram, Tyler Warren, Trey Benson, Josh Downs, Tyler Algier, Jalen Wright, Jerome Ford, F-150, Justin Herbert, the pervert, Najee Harris, Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Colston Loveland, Baishal Tootin, Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, and Isaac Garendo. We don't need a backup tight end. We don't need a backup quarterback. We took in my opinion, top 8 quarterback, a potential top 5 tight end. I don't need to be handcuffing myself with, oh my god, every week you're trying to galaxy brain yourself into, oh my gosh, should I start Drake May over Bo Nix, or oh, should I start Jake Ferguson over Mark Andrews? You're going to drive yourself insane. Just don't do that to yourself. And we're going to close out the draft with a wide receiver. And this late in the draft, you just need to be hunting for as much upside as possible, in my opinion. I like Keenan Allen a ton, but we've taken him recently, so we're kind of just trying to take different guys every draft. Now, I've been a Rashad Master Bateman guy for as long as it gets. I fully understand that Bateman has zero safety, in my opinion. There is just not an ounce of safety in the game of Rashad Bateman, but the upside is very significant, especially in high upside matchups. He's a guy that's going to be very boom or bust, right? One week he's going to score 0 points. The next game he might drop his nuts in the mouth of the defense and score 25 points, and that's fine with me. Then we're going to draft our kicker and our defense. For our kicker, we're just going to get the best one available, Brandon Aubrey. And then for defenses, you want to stream the defensive position. I don't really think it's worth it to just draft a defense, especially if you're reaching in like the 10th round on the Broncos. Now, if in round 15 you get the Broncos, go right ahead and fucking pick them, or in round 14. But if you're picking them earlier than that, I think that's really going to end up hurting your team. It hurts your depth. So I just want to go ahead and draft a defense, playing not so hot offense in week 1. If you would like my full list of defenses to draft for week 1, watch my video that I dropped earlier on today on defenses to draft to target in week 1. In week 1, the LA Rams going up against the Houston Texans offensive line. That reeks too high heaven. So I think the LA Rams defense is going to go beast mode this year. So our lineup gets a 78 out of 100. I frankly do not understand that at all. I honestly think this is pretty good team. Honestly, we have, again, a quarterback I think could be top 5, a tight end I think could be top 5. We have a very reliable RB1 in Derrick Henry. We have a high upside running back 2 in Omarion Hampton. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who again is just a Trojan wrap around your fantasy team. We got Garrett Wilson, who I know has busted in the past, but we have Sutton, we have Metcalf. We have Andrews. I feel very, very, very good about this team. On the bench, George Pickens, Jordan Mason, Braylon Allen, Jaden Blue, and Rashad Bateman. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think that this team's like a C+, or do you think it's more of like a B+, A- type deal? Let me know if you would make any different picks that I didn't make. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great guys' day. Check out one of the videos on screen if you have not seen them already. Check out the Patreon link in the video description to get your rankings, full PPR and half PPR. I love you forever. Have a great one. As always, check out one of the videos on screen. Good boy.